Okay. Alright everyone, what is up? It's Fiesta with another video right here. And we are back with another tutorial slash showcase slash whatever you want to call it. We're doing a video on MyDMX 3.0. So with that new gig log from DJ Barr, which by the way, if you haven't seen it already, go check it out. He's a much bigger DJ than I am in terms of following, so definitely go follow him. He just posted a gig log from his most recent wedding that he did with this exact show file that I designed and programmed for him. So we did this over the course of a week. We talked over video calls, talked about what he needed, what he wanted, and we built it. So this is that show file. For those of you who saw his video already, you'll recognize it. This is that same show file that I made for him. He did add a few things to it, but this is pretty much the show file that I made for him. So I'm gonna go over everything I did, how I did it, show a few examples of certain effects. I'm also gonna show you guys the visualizer right here that I made for him. So you can see all this right here. The uplights, the 4 hybrids, his wash lights for his facade, and I even added him right there. I'll show you. There's DJ Barr. So, yeah, we're gonna go over all of that. I'm gonna show you pretty much everything, and then we'll just keep going from there. So, right off the top, this is the list of lighting right here. The patch, there's not too much. We really just left it at the essentials, what he really needed. So we have 2 element hexes, we have the 4 5P hexes, the 2 UB 12Hs, and then we have the hybrids. Now, that's pretty much everything that's on here. So, I guess we'll start from the left, work our way to the right. So to start off, Barr wanted intensity for the hybrids because they are really bright. Like I saw them on the video call, they're bright. And so I added intensity on them. That way he can choose how bright he wanted them. So that's 100%. That's 75, that's 50, that's 25, that's 10%. It doesn't look accurate on the visualizer, but in real life it does do that. Now the way we did this is, on MyDMX, your faders go from 0 to 255. We've been knowing this. But if you click right here, this little percent sign, if you click that, it switches. So now it's from 0 to 100. So all of these, I just did that. So 100 is 100, 75 is 75, 50 is 50, 25 is 25, 10 is 10. And then if you switch back, it kind of just does it for you. So 10 is 26, 25 is 64, and so on and so forth. Just keeps going. On this one, all I did, and let me go ahead and just turn everything off so that y'all can see how I did everything. So to start off, the intensities only affect the shutter and the dimmer. That is the only thing that these scenes affect. If you look down here, all the rest of the faders are on off. And if y'all have watched any of my other videos in the past, you will know that this is a very big rule. This is one of those things that a lot of people mess up on. I've gotten a lot of people that have reached out to me saying, hey, my lights, they're not working, they're not doing what I want them to do. And 9 times out of 10, it's this. They'll leave, like, you know, if you leave these on, whenever you do your intensity, it's going to affect your pan and tilt too. So then your lights will stop moving because these are on. So you need to have these off so that the only thing that gets affected is your shutter and your dimmer, because these are the only 2 that are on. And that goes for all 5 of these, as you can see. The next thing that we did was we went ahead and added the different beam modes for the hybrids. So the beams, the hybrids by default are set to beam mode. So the zoom that they have is by default beam, and then you can zoom it out to a spot, and then if you add your frost filter, it turns into a wash. Now again, the visualizer isn't going to show that, but in real life it does do that. So this allows Barr to be able to choose between wanting spots or beams or wash lights. The next thing is standby, which y'all might remember from my past videos on MyDMX. I know that it's been a while, but standby does what standby has always done. So standby is a scene that I make by moving heads, because moving heads by default, they have all the way to one side and they're pointing down. And see, if they're set to 0, when you start turning up the pan and tilt, they have to turn, and you have to keep turning them until they're actually facing straight and so that they're pointing up. Standby, all it does is makes it so that once you hit that scene, they're already there. And the reason why I like having a standby is because A, you shouldn't want your lights to do this. So if you pay attention to the hybrids, when I do a movement, see how they do that whole 360? You click the scene and they start doing the movement, but before they start doing the movement, they have to do that whole 360 because they have to get to that middle position. By having a standby, this stays on the entire night. Like, this is the first thing you turn on when you open the software, and you leave standby on the entire night. And then once you do your movement, they start moving from there because they're already in their standby position. So these lights, they're ready to go. All you have to do is turn on a scene, they're in standby. So that's what standby does. It makes it so that when you do your movements, they're already there. And that applies to all of the movements, so up and down, side to side. The ones that Barr made, the sky and the test, these were some that he made, but that applies to all of them. And then once you turn off standby, they go back to their default home position that they have. But standby makes it so that this is the new home position. That way, anything that you do, it's right there. They're already ready. You don't have to wait for that 360 that they do. Once again, there you go. Same thing with these. See, up and down. So that's what that does. The next thing, we added our colors. So we have 3 sections of color. We have all, which does everything. So if I click one of these, everything turns red. And that's for everything. The next is just our wash lights. So right here you have white, red, orange or amber, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple, and magenta. This one was one that we made together. Then the next thing is colors for the hybrids. But if you notice, it's not doing anything. Why is that? Well, because you still have to turn on your intensity. Once you turn on the intensity, now you can change the color. Now, same thing for the intensity, like I said earlier. You want your intensity to only affect your shutter and your dimmer. Let me show you why. So let's say on 75, I'm gonna set the color to white. So now this fader is set to on. Let's go back. So the lights right now, they are in orange or amber, and this works. You can change the colors. So you set them to blue. Let's say, for example, you set them to blue, but 100% brightness is too bright, so you bring it down to 75. Now the lights are white. Why is that? Well, because the 75 scene has white selected for fader number 5, which is your color wheel. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it does. Color wheel. So you have to turn this off right here, and automatically you can see right here that they go back to blue. And now, when we go back to the visualizer, you'll be able to see that if I switch the brightness, they stay blue. And that goes for all the colors. I can change the brightness for any of these colors, and it works every single time. So that's that. The next thing was our strobes, and we only did 3 strobes. It was strobe all, white strobe, random strobe, and so white strobe. We have everything on white right now, but if we set it to, let's say, amber, we'll do strobe all. It'll strobe while they're amber. White strobe will, of course, make them white. And random strobe is just everything strobing at different speeds. So that was the third one. Some of these things that we added were things that we got from my show file. You know, most of them at least. I try to make it pretty close to what my show file looks like, but of course Barr has his preference and I have my preferences, and so there are some differences, but there also are a lot of similarities. Going on to the next section, our next section would be our color combos. And same thing, just like my show file, you have your rainbow, rainbow 2, which just makes everything do a chase of rainbows. So you can see the uplights in his truss doing the rainbow. These over here as well. Now you see that half of them have one color and the other half have another color. The reason is because there are 8 uplights, but there's only 2 channels worth. So this uplight's on a certain channel, this one's on another one. This one right here is on the same channel as this one. This one also is on the same channel as this one. This one is on the same channel as this one. It just keeps going. So there's only 2 of these lights programmed, but we put 8 of them because that's how many he has, just to kind of give him a good idea. But he only has 2 programmed because normally you're only going to do 2 colors. Like you can see here, the color combinations, you have blue and cyan. Normally it's only going to be 2 colors, so you only need 2 lights to actually be programmed. You can put more than 1 light on the same channel as long as they are the same light and as long as they are on the same channel mode. That's not an issue, so you can do that, and that's basically what we did here. All I did was copy and paste the lights in the visualizer and they do the same thing, and now you have all your lights. So you got your rainbow, your different color combinations. This was his favorite, the cyan and magenta. We did red and blue, cyan and blue, which is my favorite, green and magenta, another one of my favorites, yellow and green, blue and yellow, and then police. We added my famous police scene to his show file. The next thing we added was our chases. So to start off, we have build up, which is basically the same as the dimmer chase, but there is no phase added. So if you look at the dimmer chase, all of the lights are just going in and out of brightness. And with the rabbit, for those of you who don't know, your scenes are probably going to look like this. They may look like this by default, but if you click the bottom arrow either here or on the actual scene, it'll extend it, and then it gives you 2 faders. One is your brightness, so you can lower the brightness of the scene and now they'll still be chasing but less bright. Or you have your speed. So the rabbit is a speed for the scene, so I can slow it down and now the lights are going to be chasing really slow. Or you can speed it up and now they're chasing super fast. So that could be like another random strobe in a way. Now build up is the same thing, but they're all going at the same speed. And so the thing is that whenever we're playing EDM or anything like that, you start pretty slow and then you slowly start speeding it up until you get to the fastest, and then you can just switch to white strobe. So that's your build up for your EDM, anything like that. And I'll show y'all how to do that scene in a bit once we go over the entire show file. We went over dimmer chase already. The next one is zoom chase. This one is only for the hybrids, since these have an actual zoom. As you can see right here, they have zoom. I believe it's this one. You have zoom. you can zoom in and out to go between beam and spot. And like I said earlier, we have our beam modes right here. So beam, turns it on, sets it to 0 because that's your beam. Spot brings it all the way to 255. That's zoomed out, that's the widest that they can go. Wash is zoomed out and with the frost filter applied. So we set the off and we bring back the visualizer. And if we do the zoom chase, now you'll see the hybrids zooming in and out all together. Same thing, you can change the speed or you can speed them up. The next scene right here is your even odd. So same thing, half of the lights turn on, the other half turns off, and it just keeps going between them. And same thing, you can speed it up or slow it down. This is slow, and then you can speed it up. That's how it goes. So this is all of our chases for the light show. Then we have our movements. We have circle, up and down, side to side. This one's slowed down, but I can speed it up right there. Then sky, this is one that Barr did, where they're all pointing up. Then this is test. This is sort of just like a bigger circle. Matter of fact, I think this is a circle thing that we made. But yeah, that's that. I have to hand it to him. Those new moving heads that he bought are really impressive. They're really nice lights, I can't even lie. So for any of you who own the hybrids, respect to you. They're really nice lights, can't even lie. But yeah, so this is everything in live mode. So we'll go ahead and go to show mode and I'll show you guys what I did here. So like Barr said in his video, this is a more simplified version of the show file where everything is just kind of like smaller, it's easier, it's, you know, just all together, organized, and everything has its own section, and it just makes it so that it's just easier. In my opinion, show mode is better when you have a laptop that has a touch screen. So for those of you who are using MyDMX on a MacBook, show mode probably won't do much for you. But if you have a Windows like me running MyDMX, my Windows is a touch screen, so it makes it so much easier to use show mode because you just have to tap on the screen, whatever you want to do, and it does it for you. So same thing here, just like my show file, we have the colors. So when I select white on all, wash and hybrids turns on because you're affecting everything, and that applies to everything. Now if I have, let's say they're set to blue, but I want my hybrids to be light blue, I select them, the one on all turns off because not all of them are on blue now, but I select them and now wash is on blue, hybrids is on light blue, and that's how you can do that. Color combos are down here, so same thing, you have all your different color combinations. Then you have your movements and position, so standby, again, always stays on. Circle, side to side, up, down, sky, they're all there. Speed is the speed for the movements, of course. So you can see right there, nice and slow. But I can speed it up, make it faster, and that applies to everything. Nice and slow, and nice and fast. The way you do this is you click right here on edit and you double click the fader. You can do it right here. So association is what you're doing, so you click on the plus sign and then here you can select what kind of the fader you want it to be. So in this case it would be a scene speed, and then here you can select where your scene is. So you would go to movements and then you would select your scene, and then you click OK, it'll add it right here, and then you click OK right here, and then that's how you do that. So that applies to everything. any sort of fader you may add. So like over here I have the master dimmer, so same thing, association right here, master dimmer. So if I were to do it from scratch, first you would click custom name, change the name, click plus, and then right here master dimmer. That's all you have to do. Okay, okay, and now you have a master dimmer. Nice and easy. Same thing over here, your beam, spot, wash through your beam modes, prism, prism 2, super prism, which is prism 1 and 2 stacked together to make an even bigger prism. Then you also have your strobe effects, so strobe, white strobe, random strobe, the build-up, and this is the speed for those scenes. So this is how you speed up your build-up. Your dimmer effects, same thing, and your zoom chase. This button right here is blackout, so you can click this and it'll just black your lights out. Turn it back on. Now your lights are on. Then we have our different gobos down here, and Barr wanted to add a focus because, and I will agree, this is very helpful because you can add your gobo, but it won't be super focused in, so having the focus fader right here to where you can fine tune it does help a ton. So this is the show file. This is everything that I did. This was my part. So let's go ahead and go on over to edit and try to replicate some of these things. Okay, so I went ahead and moved the visualizer up here now so that way you can see what's happening down here, because anything that's programming happens on this bottom half right here. So if we were to do this, now you can see a little bit easier. So we have everything here, the element hexes, the 5P hexes, the UB 12Hs, and the hybrids. So we're gonna go ahead and try to recreate one of these chases. So we'll do dimmer chase. So if I turn this on, we're gonna try to recreate this. You'll start by going to general right here on the bottom where you can select your different fixtures. You'll go to general, which is basically everything, and you'll just want to select everything right here. Put a box over everything. Now you have your entire lighting selection selected. Then you'll go down here to effect, and then you'll click on a curve effect. So then it'll add this sine wave right here that just keeps going. You see that dot, goes up, goes down, goes up, and it just starts back up. Now here you can select what kind of a wave you want it to be. So I can do something like a double pulse, I can do an inverse ramp. You have tons of options here, but the most basic one, the one that we need for this effect, is just your regular sine wave. So next to it, where it says none, you can select here, and you can associate the effect to a certain part of your light. So if I were to do like red, for example, see, it's going from white to light blue, because if you take red off of white, it turns into light blue. Same thing if I do green, it's going to be going from white to blue, because if you take off red and green from white, it turns into blue. But that's not what we want. We want it to affect our dimmer. So now the lights are going in and out. Now the rate can stay the same. Rate by default is 4. It gives you 2 peaks and 2 lows, and so that's like your normal. If you turn the rate up, it'll speed it up, but it is better in my opinion if you just change the speed over here where it says 5 seconds. You can change the speed right there. That is the better way to do it, but you can do it there too. What I like to do is I like to turn the size all the way to 200, and that makes it to where you have flat parts on the top and it's still curved here. But I also like to turn the offset down by 50. So right now you're at you're at 0, and you have between minus 100 and 100. So I like to bring it down by 50. So now your size is up to 200 and your offset is -50. So now you have an even flat on the top and a flat on the bottom. And that just makes it so that they stay on longer and they stay off longer. Now, to make them all go random, the phasing value, you turn it up. And you have between 0 to 500. My sweet number is about 125. That's my sweet number. That's why I like to have it. And that just makes it real nice and pretty, where everything's just going in and out. Once you're happy with that, you can just click generate, and it will make your new scene. Okay, for some reason it put it somewhere else, but I have it back over here now. So this is our new scene that we made. So this one, you can just delete it, you don't need it. This is your new scene right here. So if we play it, you'll see all the lights doing different stuff. Now, the beams aren't doing anything. The moving heads, they aren't doing anything. Why is that? Well, because your shutter is not being affected. So what you want to do is right here on your steps, click the first one, scroll to the bottom, press and hold shift, click the bottom one, and now you've selected all your steps. So this means that any changes you make on here, you'll do it to all of these steps. You want to turn up your shutter. Leave this one and this one alone. This is your dimmer. And the hybrids, they have a regular dimmer and a fine dimmer. So you want to leave those alone. They're going to be set to 0, but trust me, they are not. If you touch them, you'll mess up the scene and you'll have to redo it. So only change your shutter. And now, when you turn the scene back on, your beams are working. Now, same thing as I mentioned before. If you look closely, pan and tilt is on because standby was on when I made the scene, so you want to turn this off. Same thing with color, you want to turn that off. So now the only things that are on are shutter, dimmer, and fine dimmer. And just like that, you're done. So now your new scene is complete. And now when we go back to live, if we select a color, we can go over here, select our scene, and there you go. The same thing, you can speed it up, slow it down, speed it up, slow it down. That's your scene. So let's go ahead and keep going. The next thing is going to be, we'll do a movement. Add a scene, that way we have a blank slate. Go to effect, go to pan and tilt, and make sure you're in your section for your moving heads, focus hybrids in this case. By default, it's going to make a circle. You can also do a line, which is how I did the up and down and the side to side. So the way I did it was simply make a line, and now they're going up and down. So you can see right there, and that's how we do that. But we'll do a circle. Now I like to have a 2-point circle because the default is 4, but I like having a 2-point, just makes it easier. To make it even easier, you can put 1 point in the middle on the bottom, and then grab this point, bring it over here, and then just bring it, make it as small as you can. Now you have your movement. You can see right there. Now this to me is a little too fast, so I like to turn this 5-second scene into a 10-second scene. That's my cup of tea. Again, when it comes to lighting, it's all personal preference, however you like it. I personally like 10-second scenes for my movements, so I always make them 10 seconds. But if you're happy with this, you can call it a day from here, pretty much. You know, like this already looks good. But you can turn up the phasing value. Same thing, about 125, which is a quarter of the way, or a third maybe. And now the lights are all delayed from each other, and that is a much better look. So now you can generate, Same thing over here. Get rid of this scene. This is your new movement. Now let's go look at what it affected. So you have your pan and tilt, which is correct, but it also turned on color, and it also turned on your shutter and dimmer. So same thing, select the first scene, scroll to the bottom, select your last scene, and then turn these off. That's color. So now all you have on is pan, tilt, fine tilt, and that's it. So now you can go back, turn on your standby, and you can go to your new group, select your scene. So yeah, with that being said, I'm pretty sure this is about it. I think I went over everything pretty easily. Don't forget, if you want to use show mode, one tip, use a touchscreen computer and make sure you paid for the full version of MyDMX 3.0, because yes, you can use show mode whenever you don't have your box connected, but the second you plug in your box, it's not going to work. You have to pay for the full version, which is $100 for life, or $25, I think, $24, $25 per year. So if you want to try it out for a year, see if you like it, you can do the yearly, or if you just want to buy it forever, keep it always, you can pay the $100 and you'll have it for life. This also unlocks the MIDI control, so you can buy a MIDI controller and control your light show from there, such as like how Barr does it or how I do it. You can do that as well. But yeah, so that is DJ Barr's brand new show file. Go check it out in his latest gig log. You'll see the lighting at work with the new show file. For any of you who have questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. That's the fastest way to reach me. If you have any questions, if you need tips, or if you want to hire me to build a light show for you, I will be doing it, not for a long time. I'm probably only going to be doing for the next week or two, where I'll build a light show for you for sale. It'll be a full show file, including a similar show file like what I did for Barr, and the visualizer. I will build your setup just like so. So you can just send me a picture of what your setup looks like. I'll build it. That way you can see it, and then that way in the future, when you need to program, you can do it from home, being on your desk, nice and easy. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Also, if y'all want me to make a video on Resolume, I do have a lot more experience on Resolume now since the last time I mentioned it in a video. So if any of you want to see a video on that, let me know. I might be interested in making a video on Resolume, so definitely let me know. But I'll leave you with that. Y'all have a good one. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, follow me on all platforms, and I'll see y'all in the next video, most likely a gig log coming soon.